Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the weekly Periscope from Shared Vision UK. I'm Nigel Bolton.
Marisa Diego.
I'm Marisa.
Hello.
This week we're going to talk about young carers. I read a blog of yours recently, and there was a true story, I think, at the head of it, which I've got to say made me sit up and think. These days, much it makes me sit up and think, but that did. And it was talking about a young woman, we'll call her Chelsea, and she was a young carer.
Yeah, she was actually only 10 years old, believe it or not. And I suppose why she came into the headlines or as part of the media was as a result of her age, but also she's part of a vulnerable hidden group in society, and they are young carers.
Yeah.
Her story in particular was that she was bullied at school because she was a young carer and for her mum. And I think it really struck me, in terms of her age and where she was.
Yeah.
She also reported that she didn't see any future for her.
Oh dear.
Because she wasn't sure that she would make any friends. I mean, there was all sorts of isolation type of stories that was going on. So it's quite a sad story, but it's so often very real for most people out there, and children in particular.
Yeah, it was sad. And she was 10.
Yeah.
But why was she looking after mum? I presume she was looking after mum at home.
Well, she had caring responsibilities for mum because mum was blind.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
she took on most of those caring responsibilities, and quite often young carers would do that.
Right.
They're trying to run the home life, but also then go to school and try to be a child at school amongst their peers. But because they grow up too fast,
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, it's quite an emotional strain, I think.
So we're talking 10 years old,
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea looking after her mum, and I presume, having read the story in the blog, she was the only sibling.
Yes.
So she had it all to do. So 10, is that really young? It feels really young. What's the research?
No, research tells us actually we know of young carers as young as 5 years old.
Good grief.
Quite often, unfortunately, services out there for young people or children only start from the age of 8, not 5.
8?
Yeah,
Right.
8, which means actually between 5 and 8 there's no service provision.
So hang on, you talk about the kind of ages there. Sorry,
Yes.
Marisa. You're talking about the age of 8. I think I know this, but you can tell the punters out on Periscope. In the UK, it's defined, isn't it, in a piece of legislation now? Didn't used to be.
Yes.
So what age group are we talking for young carers when they can actually get some help through the legislation?
Well, no, hopefully it's 0 to 25, if I'm honest. And I know I say 0 to 25.
Mm-hmm.
We know of young carers as young as 5 years old.
Yeah.
Who knows? There might be younger ones, which we don't know about. Let's hope not, but you never know.
But that's not what the law covers, is it?
The law covers 0 to 25. Because
Does
it's
it?
Children,
Right, okay.
It's the Children and Family Act.
So why did you mention 8 then?
8 was a particular number that was done as part of a survey, and it was the 2011 census that was done, and that's where they picked up the age in terms of an 8-year-old,
Right.
and service provision that was out there. Now that we have the legislation that can actually insist, or young carers or children insisting on having an assessment, I think the law actually makes it much easier for these children to get the support that they need.
Right.
There's another piece of legislation I just want to quickly mention, and that's the Care Act. And the overlap, I suppose, between the Children and Family Act and also the Care Act now ensures that age range between a very young age up until 25 actually get the services that they require: education, training, etc., etc.
So they're looked upon as vulnerable. Whichever piece of legislation we're talking about, these youngsters who are doing amazing jobs within their own family, no doubt trying their hardest, they are vulnerable.
Yeah.
You talk about support. What kind of support can they expect from the state? I presume this is from Children's Social Care. Is it in the local authority?
Well, firstly, there needs to be an assessment. That assessment obviously will need to follow a whole family approach. Quite often, again, there might be several issues within that family. It's not just the child's needs and also what's happening in terms of the caring responsibility and what gives the vulnerability, but it's also in terms of what makes the adult and the parenting capacity, I suppose, within that household as such that that child has taken on that caring responsibility. So it's a whole family approach from the outset. Now, there are services out there that absolutely just focus on young carers, We know that the Children's Society in particular, which is a national agency, provide lots and lots of events or services for young people. Every local area will have their own one in terms of young carers or carers with responsibilities. In particular cases, of course, if the assessment identifies that the caring responsibilities are as such, that actually it has an emotional impact on the child, or even on the siblings, or even that the parenting capacity is as such that it is detrimental to the child,
Right.
then clearly that becomes a statutory intervention, and you can then deal with it from anything up from Section 17, which is child in need, to child protection type of cases.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. We've seen many of those. Well, I have, in particular, in terms of the cases I've managed,
Right.
where there are really significant risks to that young person as a result of caring responsibilities. One thing I want to mention, it is an extremely vulnerable group. I think after looked after children, this is a group that have been isolated, have stayed hidden for far too long. Quite often with caring responsibilities, you have mental health difficulties, substance misuse difficulties. There's all sorts of a range of things that can happen to these children.
So when you wrote the blog and you've mentioned mental health there, is this a particular issue within?
Yes.
Predominance shows, does it, within this group of young people trying to care?
I think so. Well, if you think about young people or children with that type of caring responsibility and trying to fit in within their peer group, but then actually growing up too fast, the emotional impact is quite significant, and I think it's on par with physical abuse or physical type of illnesses or whatever you want to say in terms of abuse. I think emotional well-being, in particular for these young people, are really, really concerning.
They got a serious amount of stress if you think about it. You talk your way through the day in the life of a 10-year-old. Well, as well as looking after mum, who's blind in Chelsea's case, they then have to go to school. They have to put their homework in. They have to be on time. They have to have clean PE kit. Now, and then it goes on, doesn't it? The stress must be enormous.
Enormous, yes, absolutely. But it's not just that for me. I think take it a tiny step further. They have caring responsibilities at home. Yes, they need to do their school homework. They need to have a role model or an adult at school, I would hope. They can actually look after them in the nicest possible way, that they're actually aware of what's happening to these children or young people at home. But also, whilst these children are at school, they must be worried about the carer or the parent that's actually at home, because they are the ones really caring for that person.
So just because they go to school, Chelsea, use her as an example, she knows mum's at home on her own.
So she's probably worried.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. So all the time she's at school, she's got lots of things going on, which other children don't. And, well, some children can be very cruel, can't they?
They can be.
And that, no doubt, from what we read about Chelsea, she suffered quite a lot of bullying.
Yeah.
Whereas actually at that point in her life, with all this stress, she probably could have done with a bit of support around her. Why did you write the blog then? Do we need to draw attention to these children, do you think?
Absolutely. The blog came out because it was mental health awareness in particular.
That's right, yeah.
I think it is about the awareness raising. It is absolutely making sure that schools, in particular for me, it's an area where children will go to school. There are many young carers that are telling us that, expressing their voices or raising their voices to say that no one at school even recognises that they are young carers, but they have these responsibilities. So I think I wrote the blog for many reasons. One is it's a vulnerable group. They're too hidden, too isolated. We need to raise more awareness, and we need to recognise that with these caring responsibilities, there are other issues more complex, such as emotional well-being, that needs to be paid attention to. And quite often these children escape to different routes that they shouldn't actually be going to, such as substance misuse, and they get involved in all sorts of absolutely, all sorts of things.
You can kind of understand it in a way, the stress. Just a question coming in on the screen, Marisa, basically saying, are we really serious that 5-year-olds are caring?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, they are. Thank you for asking. I can't read the name. I'm terribly sorry. You know what my eyesight is like, for those of you who watch these regularly. But Marisa did say, and it's true, it came out of a census.
Yes.
Within the last few years, 5-year-olds caring for adults at home.
Yeah.
It really is quite unreal. I know you and I are both passionate about raising the voice of the child,
Yes.
both in the UK and internationally, and we've got, if you don't mind me saying, campaign #VOC. If you've not seen it, ladies and gents, get on Twitter and use #VOC, please, because we're desperate to get people to recognise the voice of the child in all different circumstances. Children need to be heard. Sometimes children are the one person in the world that actually tell you what it's like,
yes,
and what you need to respond to, as a professional or just somebody that cares, really. So we are pushing #VOC constantly, and I suppose it doesn't matter whether they're young carers or they're another group of young people. They are young people, they are children,
and they have a voice,
and they need a voice, don't they?
They need
that
voice.
and they've got a right to
absolutely
have a voice.
They need us, whether or not you're social workers or education or someone that can support the family. In terms of a whole family approach, I think they need us to empower, to engage with them, to build those relationships. At the end of the day, an 8-year-old or 15-year-old or even a 21-year-old still need that type of feeling that, or sense that they belong, and actually that they're part of a peer group. And I think growing up too fast is not really in the best interest of a child.
But they do, don't they? And they have to, and they do an amazing thing. I'll
Okay.
ask you a strange question, because I'm intrigued. In terms of a package of support, just say the whole system works properly. I'd like to think it does, some of the time anyway. Is there financial support sometimes for these children and these families that are in this way? Because these kids effectively are doing a huge job for society, aren't they, really?
Well, I'm not quite clear in terms of financial support, if I'm honest, because a young carer is defined, especially if you look at Section 96 of the Children and Families Act, that actually it's someone that has caring responsibilities for a friend or family member. But when you are getting a financial contribution, then it's not part of the young carers
Is that something
definition.
Slightly different? Oh, well, we won't go down that route.
No, absolutely. But obviously, if there's a Section 17 need, that the children in need type of things going on within the family, and it's identified within an assessment, then I suppose that will be part of the assessment package and the support that will be delivered.
I put you on the spot there, didn't I? Sorry.
You have.
I'm sorry, Marisa, but it just struck me as interesting.
No, absolutely. I think on a local level in particular, different local authorities, different agencies deal with different things. So, it's a tough one, but I think there are some support out there.
Good.
There's lots of positive things happening at the moment. I've recently picked up on the Children's Society, and they have an exhibition running, and have been running since last year, which is called Hidden. And actually, it's all about young carers and their thoughts and pictures and portraits that have actually been having as part of an event. So at the Oxo building, for example, in London, is showing most of these portraits.
That's ongoing, is it? So it's Oxo Tower, I think it was called.
Absolutely.
The Oxo Tower, South Bank, centre of London. Sounds like it's worth going along to. Just pick up there before we finish, because I think we're coming to a close.
Yep.
Children's Society. If you're sat out there watching us rabbit on, and you are a young carer, hello to you. And you need to talk to someone, and you need support. Actually, you don't know what's out there for you. I would have thought, and we haven't asked the Children's Society this, but I'm sure they won't mind. That's not a bad place to start, is it?
No, absolutely.
I would have thought.
Well, if you look
go to
at
the website.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at their website. There's numbers to call. There's all sorts of advice and guidance. There's other type of places like Sky, which is also, if you just Google young carers in particular, there's just so many different websites.
Right. So if they're a young carer, they'll be far more used to using the internet and different things than me, so they can just search young carers, you reckon?
I think search young carers, search support for young carers, go to your local authority if you need to, speak to your teacher, speak to your GP. There's so many different professionals that now are aware of young carers in particular, but yet again, I think it's still a vulnerable type of group. It's a hidden group. We need to raise more awareness, and the Children's Society in particular, I can point out, is doing a great job of it.
They are, and the website's really, really good.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed the blog as ever.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing that chat tonight, Marisa. Hopefully it's been interesting for those of you watching. Thank you for watching. I can see plenty of you have, again, so keep going. No idea what we'll talk about next week, but it'll be something really interesting, we hope, about safeguarding, about children. So we look forward to seeing you. Probably Wednesday or Thursday next week. Sorry, we'll put it out on Twitter. A big thank you to Marisa again.
Thank you.
And that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to read our blog that Nigel was referring to, please go to our website. It's www.nipshadevision.uk. There's no .co.uk, it's only .uk.
Yeah.
And please feel free to comment.
And get on Twitter and use hashtag VOC, Voice for the Child. Thanks very much. Thanks, Marisa. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye.